The male versus the man's approach to the feminine. If we were to summarize, I would just simply say it shouldn't be any masculine approaching the feminine. It should be the other way around, with the feminine approaching the masculine. But we're not going to go there. We'll just say this. If we're going to talk about the masculine approaching the feminine, let me just show you the difference. So overall, there's this perspective that, if you're going to approach the feminine, it should be a certain way. So allegedly, you got to come off hard. You got to come off like, sort of like insulting in some ways. You got to come off passive aggressive, but still be interested in her. Like, you got to eventually break down the ice, and that's just because she don't know you. I've seen a lot of uploads about this, and I'm like, you know what? This reminds me of how boys used to reach out to girls that they liked when they were in school. They would, in order to show his affection towards her, he would slap her, things like that. He'd do that type of thing to get her attention. He'll do something to make her cry. He'll take something from her. So in this day and age, we see a lot of that going on. So basically what I just described was the male's approach to the feminine, where you got to come off a little bit of a jerk or an a-hole just to get her to even talk to you a certain way. You do it without being disrespectful, basically. A lot of these modern feminine, a lot of them don't mind if you call them bro or even use the B word, because if you're a certain guy that comes off a certain way to her, she might find that attractive. But still, once again, this is the male's way and not the man's way. The man's way of approaching the feminine, if this is the case, would simply be that man saying to that prospective woman, hey, how are you doing? Like, how's your day? Just simply breaking the ice, and then that'll ultimately get her to respond like, I'm fine, or I'm not doing so well. And that actually opens up the conversation. The simplest thing you can do. And y'all see the stark contrast. So I'm saying, despite of what I think in regards to how the feminine should be approaching the masculine nowadays, if you're going to approach her as a man or a male, y'all just saw the two differences. So, my thing has always been just to break the ice with the feminine. If we do get into a situation where we can have a conversation just by simply saying, how has your day been? How's your day? And that starts the conversation right there instantly. Now, in regards to breaking the ice, there's actually two ways of doing it, but keep in mind of these boys' ways of trying to approach the modern day feminine. They want to be flirting and things like that. So keep that in mind. And as you'll see on the screen, there's different ideas about flirting that people don't understand. Like, flirting is not what people think it is. You're actually putting off a false persona in regards to flirting. But breaking the ice happens in two ways, with the boys or the male's way of approaching the feminine. If it comes down to that, breaking the ice just simply means, hitting it with a hammer, just really going at her hard. And a lot of the modern day feminine seem to be more accustomed to that. Whereas with the man way of breaking the ice, it's different. It's more so a melting effect to that breaking of the ice. If you notice, in the spring, when the ice starts to melt, the permafrost, the top surface layer of the ice starts to crack because of the melting that's taking place underneath. So in essence, like when a man is breaking the ice, he's literally melting her from inside. He's bringing about a warmer sensation just by being friendly enough to ask her how her day been. She has no choice at that particular moment but to just acknowledge that he is being considerate. And she can respond by either being inconsiderate of his consideration, or she can be like, oh, well, that's nice of you to ask that. I appreciate that. I'm doing okay, or I'm not doing so okay. And, she would talk to you about it. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks a million.